Imagine you're on a family video call. Your sister is smiling from ear to ear. She's talking about baby names, nursery ideas, and how excited she is to become a mom. Everyone on the call is congratulating her. But you can't even force a smile, because sitting in the bedroom next door is the 11-year-old son she already gave away. And what you say next ends the call almost immediately. 5 years earlier, this wasn't supposed to happen. OP never planned on becoming a parent to another child. She already had her own life, her own routines, and a nephew she adored from a distance. Then one day, that 6-year-old nephew suddenly needed somewhere to live. The little boy's name was Danny. And what was meant to be a temporary arrangement slowly became something much bigger. The reason Danny needed a home was because his mother, OP's sister, Val, had been struggling with alcoholism for years. The family hoped it would only be temporary. The plan seemed simple enough. Danny would stay with his aunt and uncle. Val would get help. Then eventually, mother and son would be reunited. At least, that was the plan. At first, Danny still wanted his mom. Of course he did. He was 6. He'd ask when she was coming to visit. He'd ask when she was getting better. He'd ask when he could go home. Those questions probably broke everyone's heart, because nobody had real answers. So people kept saying the same thing. Soon. Then things started changing. Visits would be scheduled. Then canceled. Sometimes she'd promise to come and simply wouldn't show up. Then another visit would be arranged, and the same thing would happen again. And again. Children can be incredibly patient. Until one day, they're not. Eventually, Danny stopped asking when his mother was coming, and honestly, that's one of the saddest moments in situations like this. Because children don't suddenly stop loving someone, they slowly stop expecting them. But here's where things became even more complicated. Even during the periods when Val was sober and trying to get herself together, she still wasn't consistent. She'd come around briefly, disappear again, then reappear. Danny noticed every bit of it. Eventually, he grew resentful. On the occasion she did show up, he'd barely speak to her. Years of disappointment had built a wall between them. And then, something happened that changed everything. After 2 years of fostering Danny, Val voluntarily gave up legal guardianship. Just like that. The temporary arrangement wasn't temporary anymore. Danny wasn't staying with his aunt and uncle. This was his home. And OP and her husband weren't simply helping out. They were raising him. Years passed. Danny is 11 now. He's happy. He's doing well. And according to OP, he doesn't want a relationship with his biological mother. The strange thing is, his biological mother doesn't seem to want much of one either. She'll occasionally ask how he's doing. Ask if he's okay. Ask how school is going. But she doesn't call him. She doesn't visit him. She doesn't try rebuilding the relationship. At this point, she's become more of a distant relative than a parent. And OP never really pushed the issue, because from her perspective, why risk reopening old wounds? Danny finally has stability. Then earlier this week came the family video call, and this is where everything exploded. Val looked happier than she looked in years. She was smiling. Almost glowing. Then she announced it. She was pregnant. Everyone immediately started congratulating her. People were asking questions, talking about names, talking about nurseries, talking about how exciting this was. But OP couldn't even fake being happy, because all she could think about was Danny. The little boy sleeping down the hall. The little boy who used to wait for his mother. The little boy who eventually stopped asking where she was. And now, that same mother was excited about becoming a parent all over again. Everyone on the call noticed OP looked upset. They asked what was wrong. At first, she tried saying nothing, but then she looked at her sister's face again. Still smiling. Still talking about a nursery. And she snapped. She said, "I'll let the child you didn't want know about the one that you do." Silence. The entire call went quiet. Val started crying. Her boyfriend got angry, and not long afterward, the call ended. But the argument was far from over. Later, OP's mother told her she owed Val an apology. She asked OP a difficult question. Did she want Danny to go back and live with his mother? No. Did she resent raising him? Absolutely not. OP says she couldn't love that boy more if he'd come from her own body. Then her mother asked something else. If Danny is exactly where he belongs, and everyone agrees he's better off where he is, then why shouldn't Val be allowed to try being a mother again? After all, what is she supposed to do now? According to her mother, there isn't really a perfect answer anymore. Danny doesn't want contact. Val can't undo the past. So, shouldn't people be happy that she's healthy and finally finding happiness herself? But OP's father had a different take. He also thought having another child was a bad idea. Not because of Danny, because he didn't think Val was stable enough. And that's where OP still finds herself. She's not angry because she has Danny. She'd choose him all over again. She's angry because this feels wrong. It feels like someone hurt a child, walked away from the damage, and decided to start over. As if life has a reset button. As if people get practice children. As if Danny won't one day realize that his biological mother was excited about diapers, bedtime stories, and school pictures. She just wasn't excited enough to fight for those things with him. Reddit was heavily divided. Some people said, "You don't get to abandon one child and simply start over with another." Others argued, "Recovering addicts deserve a chance to rebuild their lives." And one comment in particular seemed to hit a nerve. Children aren't rough drafts. Personally, I can't blame OP for her reaction, because she didn't just hear a pregnancy announcement. She was reminded of every missed visit, every broken promise. Every time a little boy waited for his mother and eventually stopped expecting her to come, she was the one who stepped in. She was the one who became the parent, and now she's being asked to celebrate the same person getting another chance at motherhood. Maybe Val has genuinely changed. Maybe she'll become an incredible mother this time. But I don't think OP's reaction came from bitterness. I think it came from protectiveness. Because when you've spent years picking up the pieces for a child, it's hard to watch the person who broke them act like they're getting a brand new beginning. And honestly, situations like this happen more often than people realize. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, and foster parents step in and become parents themselves. And while children can absolutely thrive in those homes, the adults who raised them don't always get an emotional reset. The hurt doesn't disappear simply because everyone moved forward. So, what do you think? If you were raising a child your sibling had abandoned, could you honestly celebrate them having another baby? Or would you react exactly the way OP did?